Good afternoon, dear students. Today we are going to speak about lexical approach and lexical chunk. First of all, I want to introduce you what is a lexical chunk itself. A lexical chunk is a unit of language which is made up of two or more words. Not sure how much, most a bit of language is made up of chunks of words. We can call these lexical chunks. There are apparently different types of lexical chunks, such as collocations. Free they can be, second type is freer, and the third type is fixed collocations. And also, holy words also can be called as lexical chunks. And institutionalized expressions can be combined into the lexical chunks. But I don't really understand the difference between them, and I'm not sure it really matters. Basically, a lexical chunk is a group of words commonly found together. So, vocabulary acquisition is the largest and most important task facing the language learner. Can a learner ever really be considered fluent if they can't utilize language chunks? Example, nice day for it, and by the way. In these examples, you can see that nice day for it, this is one unit. We cannot divide this unit into several parts. Or in the example, by the way, here also you can see that by the way, this is as a chunk, it is one unit. We cannot separate the parts of this chunk. Why is the lexical approach so helpful? Learning chunks of natural language saves processing time. Students don't have to build a sentence from grammatical beginnings. And the second advantage is it helps learners sound more natural. Using language chunks in class. Even teaching "How are you?" to young learners. Hopefully, you don't break down the sentence into its grammatical components and explain them. You just tell them what it means, right? The second, you probably also teach them useful classroom phrases. What does it mean? Or the next example, please, can I go to the bathroom? And so on. Finding useful chunks. There is a simple formula to use to judge a lexical phrase. This is the following: usefulness plus personal interest, and by this way you can achieve a good lexical chunk. Teaching lexical chunks. The best way is little and often. Whenever you come across an appropriate chunk, you can introduce it to the class. Whatever system of recurring vocabulary you ask your students to use, do the same with your lexical chunks. Make sure that you keep a record of the lexical chunks you have introduced to each class and be sure to use them in context whenever you can. There are apparently different types of lexical chunks as I have mentioned above. Now let's analyze some examples. Two or more words seem to do, which begs the question, is a verbal phrase a lexical chunk? Here are some examples. Lexical chunks which are called, they are not collocations, but they exist in the language. For example, by the way, up to now, upside down, if I were you, a long way off, out of my mind. These are the chunks which are not collocations, but they are units. They are one unit in the language, and we mostly use them in our conversations. The second type is, they are also one unit, but now they are called as collocations. and collocations are also called as lexical chunks. For this type of lexical chunks, we can give the following examples. The first one is totally convinced, strong accent, terrible accident, sense of humor, sounds exciting, brings good luck, and others. If we analyze these examples, we can understand that we mostly use these chunks in our conversations, in our speech, in our daily usage of English. But don't forget, we never divide them into two separate parts. And the reason why lexical chunks are so common, because it is a lot of there are functional phrases. Now let's speak about lexical approach activities. So for such kind of activities, we can include the following. The first one is find someone who. The second one is songs. The next one is lexical chunk dictation. The fourth one is a task-based approach, corpora search, papers on walls, lexical chunk hot seat, and slot filler relay race. Now, one by one, let's analyze each activity. The first one is find someone who. So this homework is a standard activity which has been adapted to focus on different lexical structures, all involving the word get. Find someone who. And by this way, by this activity, we can continue with these sentences. The first one is, find someone who likes to get their own way. Find someone who takes a long time to get back to people. Find someone who wants to get married. Find someone who is getting together with friends the day after tomorrow. And also find someone who got out of bed on the wrong side today. Find someone who has got to be at work early tomorrow. Find someone who hasn't got over a breakup. Find someone who also got into trouble at school. Find someone who got his third tonsils taken out. Now let's turn to the activity which are connected with songs. Songs are a rich source of lexical items, particularly commonly used semi-fixed expressions. Then gapping song lyrics for use as a listening exercise, gap lyrics to get students to focus on useful lexical chunks rather than individual words. An example below. I will the Beatles. Who knows how long I loved you? You know I love you still. Will I wait a long lifetime? If you want me to, I will. Now let's turn to the third activity, which is called lexical chunk dictation. This is a quick and easy way to guide students toward lexical chunks that you want them to find in a text. First, you need your own copy of that text. Then on your text, underline some of the lexical chunks you want students to look for. Then give students a copy of the text and have them work in pairs. Tell them you are going to dictate a list of clues for structures in the text and they have to write down the clues. When you are dictating them, give students some clues about their form and the meaning. For example, a noun plus noun collocation for a type of weather, morning fog, sunflower. A task-based approach. A good way to get students to notice lexical chunks in a text is to tell them that they will have to use those chunks later in a task. The task should relate to the original text. For example, if students were to read about someone's experience on a holiday, Their task could be to describe a holiday that they had or would like to have, and they would have to look for lexical chunks that they could use for that task. Corpora search. Students actually enjoy searching for items using consorte print out from a corpus. Keep the task simple. You can make it into a game by challenging pairs or groups of students to come up with the most lexical chunks meeting a certain criteria. For example, find color collocations based on food and drink. Mustard yellow. Find 2 color collocations with white, orange, yellow. They are also examples for lexical chunks. Papers on walls. How can we work with papers on walls in order to learn lexical chunks or in order to teach our learners lexical chunks? This is a fun text-based activity which gets students out of their seats and raises awareness of lexical structures. You will need to decide on at least 3 categories of lexical structures you want your students to find in a text. For example, you could have them find different types of collocations. Noun plus noun can be, adjective plus noun can be, adverb plus verb, or verb plus noun, and other types of collocations also can be examples for this activity. Each category is written on the top of a sheet of paper, and the papers are posted around the classroom. Students work in teams, usually of 2 or 3, and compete against other teams in an attempt to add the most items to the sheets. For this activity, students must be divided into several groups. By this way, they can categorize different collocations according to their structure. As we mentioned about noun plus noun collocations, adjective plus noun collocations, adverb plus verb collocations, or verb plus noun, and other types of lexical chunks. Now, the next activity is about lexical chunk hot seat. This is a lexical version of a popular vocabulary game. The game uses 2 chairs which are placed in front of the board and facing away from it. Allow some space between the board and the chairs and some space between the chairs. The students are divided into 2 teams which assemble in front of each chair. Then 1 student from each team sits in the chair. They will have their backs to the board, but all other students can see the board. The teacher then writes a word on the board, and each team gives their teammate in the hot seat clues so they can get the word without saying the word itself, of course. Now about slot filler relay race. So in this activity, it is very easy that this is a great way to get the students to come up with slot fillers for semi-fixed expressions. For example, who, I have loved you. Once they have picked up some expressions from the text, elicit the expressions from them and make note of them, either by underlining them in the text or listing them on a sheet of paper or on the side of the board. Then get them into 2 teams and have each team line up in front of the board. To make sure the lines stay far enough back from the board, point out a line on the floor which they must line up behind at least a meter back from the board. Explain that one team should start by choosing an expression from the list, and they will be given a minute or 2, your choice is of course, to come up with slot fillers for it. It needs to be done as a relay race where the first member of the team takes a marker, races up to the board, fills in a slot filler, hands the marker to the next student to add another slot filler, and goes to the back of the line. When time is up, eliminate incorrect slot fillers and award a point for each correct one. In the next activity, you can analyze how lexical chunks work with activity hot seat. This is a lexical version of a popular vocabulary game. The game uses two chairs, which are placed in front of the board and facing away from it. Allow some space between the board and the chairs and some space between the chairs. And in this activity, students can count all the lexical chunks which are given in the context, and according to the structures, they must categorize them. They can be noun plus noun collocations, noun plus verb, adverb plus verb, and other types of collocations. And by this way, they have to categorize them into different columns. Slot filler relay race. This is a great way to get the students to come up with slot fillers for semi-fixed expressions. For example, who, I have loved you. Once they have picked out some expressions from a text, elicit the expressions from them and make note of them either by underlining them in the text or listing them on a sheet of paper. Now let's analyze the advantages of the lexical approach. In general, why do we need to learn or to teach lexical approach or lexical chunk? It develops learners' proficiency with lexemes or words and words combinations. Central to the lexical approach is a focus on teaching real English and shift away from the artificial language found in ELT textbook and which is drawn from the institution of textbook designers. Emphasis is on successful communication, not grammatical mastery. Language is not learned by learning individual sounds of words and structures and then combining them, but by an increasing ability to break down wholes into parts. So lexical approach advocates argue that language consists of meaningful chunks that, when combined, produce continuous, coherent text, and only a minority of spoken sentences are entirely novel creations. Now let's speak about disadvantages of the lexical approach. Language cannot be simply divided into different units in real life. Some topics that are traditionally considered advanced can actually be taught at much lower levels. The third advantage is teachers and learners need training in using computational tools to analyze data received from technological corpora. And the first one is, it still needs to be demonstrated how a lexically based theory of language and language learning can be applied at the levels of design and procedure in language teaching, suggesting that it is still an idea in search of an approach and a methodology. In general, we can say that teaching vocabulary chunk by chunk, it improves our vocabulary, good stuff, of course. And in the learning process of lexical chunk, by this way, we can use more and more collocations as a lexical chunks and as one unit. So, what is the problem? Is vocabulary just words? No, of course. While speaking, we use the unit of the language, and they are called chunks. In general, using lexical chunks in the language, it helps to improve the vocabulary and also helps to use the ready-made lexical chunks and units in the spoken and in the written language. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.